Okay, guys, Cake Shop, episode 4. My God, it's all Saturday is my busiest day. My goodness, we watched the fights because the fights were on early today, so I was doing that as well as editing. Saturday is my busiest day because I have so much to do. I have to get all the Twitch clips for the week. I have to edit, obviously. I have to edit a lot of stuff on Saturday, like all the stuff that I missed. And then, basically to catch up. Then my parents said, hey, we're going to Mass, so you're on your own for dinner. And I was like, oh, crap. So I go to Quick Check, which is kind of close to me, and I like doing that instead of like a fast food place. And they were out of my chicken cutlets, which is it's like a sin. It's like a sin when they're out of chicken cutlets. So I ended up going with the chicken salad. And let me tell you something, your boy's stomach is turning. Okay? Something's going to happen later, and I don't know what it is. But other new stuff, added a light there. I don't even know how long that light's going to last, but I just felt like it's been pretty dark. We're still slowly figuring out stuff to add to the podcast because last week's episode audio file was deleted. I was pissed about that. I felt like it was too dark. A lot of things. But we're going to build as we go. So that's kind of the plan. Honestly, last podcast we recorded a week and a half ago with my brother. Since then, not much has happened. Not much in the news, not much of anything, but I do feel bloated. I'm very bloated right now from that chicken salad. I'm definitely going to throw up sooner or later, so that's going to be fun. I don't even know what to start with today. We have I got some stuff, obviously news stuff, but notes-wise, really no notes to take. Just a couple questions for Discord. So, we'll just kind of jump into it. We could start by going through the week. As I said, it's been super busy. Dude, let me tell you something, though. Yesterday at the gym, something happened that will never, ever leave my mind. So, let me explain this one to you. I had to talk to I'm fairly well known at my local Y. So, the Y that we go to, I've been there pretty much my whole life. So, I know a lot of the workers there and the people that own the gym and stuff. Dude, so in other words, what I'm saying is I could push my weight around, I guess, whatever the saying is. And your boy got a little bit of I had to put in a recommendation. So at our gym, there's like a leg section, a place where you can do certain squatting stuff. It's usually for people that can't really work out heavy. But there's a couple exercises over there that I like to do. One of them being what's called the reverse leg curl. Here, I'm gonna show you how to do this bad boy. So basically, it's like you're laying down, and you kind of have the weight back there, and you kind of pull like this. Well, there's one in front of it that ladies use that's like this, right? Now let me tell you something. Your boy, I'm on my stomach, right? I'm doing the one in the back, bro. So you're looking down a little bit while you're doing the curl, the hamstring curl. I look up by accident, and my God, did I see something I wish I never would see ever again. This lady, who, let's be honest, not in the best of shape, to say the least, clearly doesn't take care of herself, which happens. But she's doing the leg thing in front of me, the kickback. Now, she's wearing short shorts. The shortest of short shorts, actually. And I guess underwear is optional. So your boy got a show that I hoped I would never see. So, right off the hop, my Friday started pretty weak. Because I work out in the mornings. And I told my friend Lisa, who owns the gym, I was like, listen, Lisa, we're going to have to switch these around so that no one would ever have to go through what I went through. So, yeah, Friday was pretty good. The rest of the week was pretty uneventful for the most part. I went in the pool. Brother's girlfriend was over. That was about it. We got to meet her for the first time. Nice girl. She brought muffins, so she's okay in my book. But, yeah, they saw the new Thor movie, which apparently is not that good. I've heard mixed reviews. I know Drew said it was bad. My brother said it was bad. Weird. I would have thought that movie would do pretty well, to be honest with you. Well, I'm going to do something here. Yeah, just want to fix the mic because I know that could be, you don't want the weight tugging down on that. That's pretty important. So anyway, yeah, where do we want to start? I grabbed a couple things from the news. As I said, there was not that much. I don't want to go too deep into politics today because there's a lot going on with Roe v. Wade and all things like that. So let's start with TikTok news. TikTok news, kind of a big one. So TikTok's Florida-based head of global security, Roland Cloutero, stepped down from his role as the app faces intense scrutiny due to China-based employee access U.S. user data. So this is kind of an overall topic. So yesterday, I think the FCC, I forget what the FCC stands for, but basically they said they strongly urged Apple and Android stores to get rid of TikTok. Kind of like what our past president said, there's a huge security breach in TikTok that gives away your information. That's really what it is. And I think my mom brought up a good point because I brought this up to her. Now, obviously, all I post is gaming stuff on TikTok, so I don't really care what data is being breached. But it's the fact that they are seeing in on your data in a country that you're not supposed to be doing that. So it's kind of a fine line because they're a country that's not within our country, use their app, and they take data from that app that's being used in America. So it's a breach of contract in American law, but in China it's fine. Also, another thing that people don't talk about as much is that Chinese TikTok is way different from American TikTok. So for those of you that don't know, in America, it's kind of the same. Like everyone gets the same stuff all the time. In China, it's a lot of like educational stuff, and you actually can't use the app past 10 o'clock or something like that. It's quite interesting. But the reason I bring this up is I'm very curious to see what happens with all these TikTok kids. Will they ban it? Probably not. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think, I think it's just too powerful of an app. If anything, they're going to make drastic changes to the app so that China can't have any influence on it or take any user data, which is fine. I think that's the way it should be. There's too many people that have made legitimate careers off TikTok, like the D'Amelios, Addison Rae, what's the Bryce Hall, I think. I don't know. I don't know my TikTok stars that well, but yeah, that's going to be an interesting one down the line because I don't know what's going to happen. But to be honest with you, when was the last time you kind of heard of any of those people? I know they're still famous, but they don't show up in my feed or anything. I would think that they would show up in my feed a little bit more often. But they never do, which is, unless I look them up, but I don't really look up people. Truth be told, I only use it for, honestly, my whole TikTok is either terrible gym injuries or some really dark humor. There's really no in between. You would think I would get more gaming stuff, and I do, but it's not as prevalent as the gym fails. Dude, I saw a kid. My favorite thing at the gym, and I see this at my gym too, but especially on TikTok, is the kids that squat more than they can actually do, so it just ends up folding them forward. I watch a kid drop like 315 right on his head. I was like, oh. Yeah, that's a concussion and a half. 315 doesn't sound like a lot of weight until you actually touch what 315 is, and you go, oh wow. So yeah, to go back to my point, I don't know what's going to happen with TikTok. I don't think it can continue to do. It can't continue to go down the way it's going. Like some change is going to have to be made. I don't think it's going to get deleted, but I do think that people are going to try and limit the data that goes out to China. So, yeah, that's going to be one I'm going to keep my eyes out for. Just because again, TikTok's so big, I just can't see it. Like it's comparable to Twitter and Instagram now. It really is, right? So I don't know how you're going to be able to really do anything to a company that's that big. You can argue it's kind of like its own monopoly. So let me explain what a monopoly is for those of you that don't really understand what a monopoly is. So a monopoly is when you own 51% of a industry, I guess you could say. That's probably the best way of putting it. So back in I think that started back with the Rockefeller. The guy he made all the train stations, and I could be wrong on this. I'd have to look it up. It's been a long time since I looked, but basically the Rockefellers, I believe they did trains or steel industry, and they had a monopoly because literally no one else, they were just blowing everyone out of the water. And then whenever someone tried to say, hey, I want to start a steel mill or whatever, Rockefeller would just buy him out. He'd say, hey, here's $2 million, which back then was like $1 billion. That's how much money that guy had. And he would just keep the industry all to himself. So then government had to step in and say, hey, you can't really do that. There's something very illegal about that. At the time it wasn't illegal, but they put laws in because no one should have that much of a market share. 51% is insane. So you can make the argument that TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter all fall under the same category, but because they're so different, they're kind of their own monopoly. Of course, you have other websites like Getter, which I know is becoming a little more popular, or Rumble, which I think is a YouTube counterpart. They don't compare. They don't even compete, really. So it's a shame. But on that note, we can move on to other news, which is, where is it? Twitter lawsuit adds. I forget what this one was. I know what it is, but I forget what the title was. Twitter lawsuit adds to Musk's Tesla and SpaceX challenges. Okay. I mean, this is kind of just a general title for the next topic we're going to talk about, which is Twitter and Elon Musk. So for those of you that don't know, Elon Musk wanted to buy Twitter for X amount of billions of dollars. I think it was 44 billion or something like that. Now, couple things here. Couple ways I want to take this one. Two things. So let's start with the fact that, or what the lawsuit's about. So Elon was going to buy Twitter for $44 billion and decided that it wasn't worth it until he didn't want to make a deal with Twitter until Twitter fixed the bot problem. And basically what that means is Twitter has a insane amount of bots, bot accounts, like accounts that don't really exist. It's like a crazy number. I want to say it's like, let's see. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to say it's about 45%. What percent of Twitter is bots? Advanced. Let's see. I want like a percentage. Special bot. Give me a percentage. Hard to count. Just give me a percentage. Just give me a percentage, please, for the love of God. Okay, so they say 5 to 20%. That's probably low because it seems like this is but let's say it is. That's still, how many Twitter users are there? Probably, let's say there's 1 billion. How many are there? Let's see. 330 million. So 20% of 330. 20% of 330 is, so 66 million. 66 million accounts on Twitter are fake. That's a lot of accounts. Now, again, that's probably the high, and I think that I picked their high end, and I believe that number is higher. So still, 66 million bot accounts is an insane number. Whenever I post something to Instagram too, though, you always get a bunch of bot accounts. It's not like primarily bot accounts. So I think Elon is onto something. And then Twitter's trying to sue him back for, I don't know if it was not paying or making up lies saying that, oh, the bot problem's so big when it's not. Hey, Twitter, it's a big problem. It's a big problem. I would say the same for Instagram. I don't think TikTok's botting problem's that bad because you can't really bot an account. It's kind of hard. But yeah, even some YouTube bot accounts are out there. Not as bad, but definitely Twitter and Instagram are the most prevalent from what I've seen. And I've used pretty much everything at this point. So basically what happened is Elon was like, yo, I don't want to do this deal with you, Twitter. It's kind of a complicated process that I don't want to fully explain unless you guys really want an explanation. But basically, once you have a certain amount of money on the table that is in the talks, you can't just pull it out. So unless there's like a good reason. And in my opinion, I think Elon had a good reason, which was the fact that the botting problem is not solved. It's a problem that he doesn't have the time to take on. And I think Twitter's trying to kind of make it so that he can't pull out of the deal, if that makes sense. So this is where I think Elon's either a genius or I think here's what I'm going to put myself in Elon's shoes real fast, and not saying that I'm the smartest person in the world like he is, but I think the only reason that we're even having this talk is I don't know if Elon ever wanted to buy Twitter in the first place. I think what he wanted to do was he wanted to make light of, or bring to light, the botting situation on social media and how fake it is and the shadow banning and all that stuff. I think he really wanted to bring it to the public's attention. So when he called out Twitter and said, I'm going to pull my money out, it was either a genius idea or now Twitter's kind of figured out, hey, we can sue over this. And Elon just wasn't aware. The other problem with this is you also have to know how Elon makes his money or where his money is. So when someone, whether it be him, Jeff Bezos, whoever, when they have a multi-billion-dollar net worth, you don't physically have $240 billion in the bank. That's not how that works. What ends up happening is, let's say they have maybe $2 billion in the bank, which, don't get me wrong, is a lot of money, but most of it is in stock. And the reason you put it in stock, and I have some friends that do this, even though I'm pretty sure it's considered illegal. Basically, you put your money in stock because government can't touch it, so you don't have to pay tax on it. They've tried to fix this a couple times, but basically you don't pay tax on it, so the money doesn't go down, right? You're not getting taxed on that stock. So in Elon's case, he owns a crap ton of Tesla stock as well as SpaceX stock. So all of his money's put into that. And then when he needs money, he'll just sell off the stock for whatever it's worth. Those don't tend to fluctuate too much. So he'll sell off his stock and then just put it back into the bank. And then it'll get taxed once it's changed into cash. So my guess is Elon doesn't have $44 billion on hand to give to Twitter right now. So he's either going to wait on it, because I just saw an article before about how he's waiting for Twitter's lawsuit to go through. Like you can do in court, you can basically push it back. And I believe that's what he's doing. So I think he knows he probably lost this case, so to speak, and he's ready to give up the $44 billion if that's what it takes. I don't think it'll be easy. I don't think he's just going to give it up. But I think in worst case scenario, he just has to push it off so he can get the $44 billion from his stocks and stuff. So that's probably how I'll play it. But that's how that works for those of you that are like, how is someone worth? Because think about it. If you are worth, let's just say $20 billion, you can't just go to the bank and say, hey, I want to take out my $20 billion. The bank would go, what the hell? Because usually banks don't have that much cash on them. I think only the National Reserve will do big statements like that because it's the national bank. But if you went to your local Chase Bank, for instance, and you said, hey, I want to take out $50 million, I think they'd be like, you're going to have to wait on that one. So we won't go into how our banking system works, but it's kind of a big flaw in the banking system. But also, I don't think the banking system was ever designed to help people that have multi-$100 billion net worths. Not that that's a bad thing. I'm completely for capitalism. So if you make that much money, all good for you. But I'm sure there's certain problems and loopholes you'll have to go through to get that money if you need it. So, yeah, I think what's going to end up happening is this is just going to become null. I don't think Elon's going to actually get Twitter. And I think, if anything, they're going to settle at maybe $4 billion or something, which Elon literally takes a shit with $4 billion. He'll wipe his ass with $4 billion. That's nothing. What else? What else in the news? Let me go right to Bitcoin. I'm trying to get all like the quote-unquote boring news out of the way. But Bitcoin miners shut down as Texas power grid nears brink. This is kind of a big deal. There's a lot to this. We kind of talked about this last week with Kenny, but Bitcoin has pretty much gone down pretty drastically from its 62,000 price point. Right now it's at 22, but I think when this article was written, it was at 19,000. But for those of you that don't know, a Bitcoin machine, we talked about ASICs last week, so I won't bore you with all that, but they take a lot of power to run. So when these companies are using these crazy amount of computers, we're talking each one has like an 850. How much is in a ASIC miner? It's been a while. ASIC miner wattage, power supply. forget what it is. Yeah, I think that's a 1600 watt, 20 volts, 1200 watts. So imagine having a 1200 watt power supply and you have 10,000 of them. The power drain is incredibly strenuous on the Texas power grid. And because even though it's a big strain, they're also not making as much money, so they're not paying as much. So they're starting to shut down miners down in Texas. Also, it sounds like that. I saw another article today. I don't remember when I actually grabbed this article, but I saw that they're also shutting it down because they're significantly bringing up the heat by like a degree or two, which is a lot for a computer to do. Well, a ton of computers, right? I think they said there was about 10,000 ASIC miners on whatever power grid it is. Let me see if it says the actual number. They're over 1,000 megawatts worth of Bitcoin mining load. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I am terrible at the conversion between megawatts, watts, whatever. But that's a lot. That's, not good. That is crazy. Doesn't help that our president sold off like 95% of our grid to China, but that's a lot of power that you are draining from Texas. So it sounds like they're going to. Wow, hold on. Shares of that's the shares. I'm sorry, I read that and I thought it said they were using 75% of Texas's power. I was like, whoa, that would mean way more than 10,000 miners. That'd be insane. What did you see that? Hold on, did anyone just witness that? I just tried using my MacBook as a touchscreen, thinking it was my iPad. Anyway. Yeah. I don't know, mining, I know it takes a lot of power, but I didn't realize that you can actually do damage to a power grid like that. I don't know exactly how power grids work. Like, I don't know if it powers all of Texas or just parts of Texas. So my guess is it's parts of Texas, and then it's adding all the, like, the title is kind of misleading. It says, it's like, let's say it's 20% of this grid, 20% of this grid, this grid, this grid. And then it says all of Texas in the title. So that's more likely than saying, all of Texas. And then like one power grid for Texas. And then it's usually 20%, which would be insane. But yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with these miners. I know they're going to end up shutting down a lot until the price goes down just to save money. Truth be told, I don't think anyone really cares about the actual power drain. Unless it was really debilitating drain. Unless it was like actually taking power from people's homes, but it doesn't say that. It just says that they're using a lot of the power grid, which puts a strain on the power grid. So, yeah. The power grid's kind of a mystery to me. That's something I have to research because I always think about all these houses that are powered. I've always wanted to see the main reactor, if that makes sense. I want to see what the hell that thing looks like. Is it just a giant ball of electricity that's just a bajillion gigawatts? I don't know what it looks like. So I've always wanted to see one. But on that note, we can move to this one that I thought was interesting, which was a little bit on the political side, a GOP generation gap on climate change. So this kind of goes into the next topic of climate change. Now, I'm going to give you my thoughts. This is probably the most political we're going to get today. There was another one I wanted to talk about, which was Roe v. Wade, but that's a little much to talk about with my audience, I think, for right now, until we start growing. Then we could talk about bigger things. But this one's kind of like a good little intermediate one to go into. So Republican views on, it doesn't really matter Republican, but views on climate change policy by age. So it's basically saying that the older generation, 65 and up, they don't really care about the environment, whereas ages 18 to 29 do care a little bit more about the environment, which is fine. I don't really care about the policies. Like, obviously I care, but I don't mean from a talking perspective. I want to talk about the actual changes or what people care about, but I do want to talk about climate change. Now, I remember when I was in college, so this was probably about 4 years ago, one thing went under the radar that no one talked about, and to this day I don't know if they really talk about it, but Al Gore at the time, when he was going up against, was it Bush at the time? I believe it was Bush. I could be wrong on that. It's been a while. I'm trying to go off memory, but he was a big proponent for global warming and hoping to try and bring the greenhouse gases down, and how, we only have like 10 more years before Earth collapses. So when I was a senior or junior in college, we found out that it was a big deal and no one talked about it, but we found out that all of the numbers, all the statistical data about global warming ended up being very false. Like, they were just way off when they rechecked the numbers. So all the stuff that we knew about global warming at the time was not correct. Do I think that global warming is an issue? So let me give you my opinion on this. And I don't want to say this is a hot take, but here's the problem. When it comes to global warming. I'm actually going to put my laptop down for this one, because now we're getting into deep talk. I don't know if anyone when we talk about global warming, I think that there's this stereotype or this misnomer that people on the left, so Democrats, tend to really love the earth and whatever, and that Republicans just hate the earth and don't care. I don't think it's so much of a not caring mentality for conservatives. I think it's more of like America makes up 13% of all pollution in the world. China makes up a huge amount, and then other countries make up a huge amount. Cool. I think the mentality is, if we are going to worry about global warming, the first thing that we have to do is get other countries to bring down their global warming and pollution first before we start really doing anything. One of the things that this current president talked about was he wanted to kind of prioritize going electric, or trying to get rid of greenhouse gases by stopping fossil fuels and moving to electric vehicles. That's a great idea, but in reality, on paper, but in reality, it doesn't really work that way. So let me put this in. This is my perspective. If changing an entire country's infrastructure to go from fossil fuels to non-fossil fuels would be a catastrophic change, not necessarily bad, just a catastrophic change that you can't make quickly. And when you are under threat from other countries that are not going to change, all you're doing is shooting yourself in the foot and opening yourself up for an attack. If I was another foreign country that wanted to do ill will on America, the first thing I would do is attack when their pants are down, right? So that's why I think it's not a great idea to anytime soon go to fossil fuels, or go to away from fossil fuels to something that's electric. A lot of people talk about, or there was a viral clip a while ago of, I think Leonardo DiCaprio visited Elon at Tesla, and Elon was like, oh, well, with 13 of these factories, we can power up the whole world, or the whole country, or something like that. And he's right, but what it doesn't talk about is you can do it, but it's not like what we have now. It would be like, hey, you can charge everything in your house, but it's going to take 10 times longer to charge your iPhone. It's going to take 100 times longer to charge your Tesla car. It's not apples to apples like that. There's a huge hit you're going to take if you try to change infrastructures. So there's really no point in changing the infrastructure of an entire country until every other country in the world who is still on fossil fuels decides to get off fossil fuels. And that's never going to happen. It's very unfortunate, I know. I don't think it's that people in America don't care. I think it's just that out of all the things we have to worry about, global warming and the fossil fuels is the least not cared about, but it's something that's kind of out of our control as a globe when it's called global warming. So I think that's why people don't care about it as much. I hope I got my thoughts down right and said that properly, but that's just kind of the way I see it. I kind of agree. If we are only making up 13% of the world's pollution, and the other 77%, or wait, way more than that, 87%, 80, I said 13%. I think it's So wait, I can do math. 87%. If the other 87% is the rest of the world, I was never good at math. If the 87% of the rest of the world's still on fossil fuels and they're prospering, and by prospering I mean like able to keep up with their electric grid and stuff, I don't see any reason for us to get off fossil fuels, because it would just mean a huge infrastructure change that will absolutely hurt us in the long run, in the short term. It opens up too much. You're literally putting your defenses down. That's basically what that means. And if every country did it, then that's fine. If everyone sat down at the UN and said, hey, we're all going to get off fossil fuels at the same time, China probably still wouldn't, but they'll say, yeah, and then not do it. So that's what I mean. I don't think it's a matter of caring. I think it's a matter of people deciding of all the things that are a potential threat, changing off of fossil fuels to prevent something like global warming in comparison to preventing a potential attack. I think the weight is very different. So hopefully that makes sense. I think I gave my best description I could off the cuff like that. So hopefully it makes sense, but you guys let me know. On to the next one. Where do we want to go from here? We've pretty much finished most of the world news. Let's go to kind of sports news. So in August, ESPN Plus is to raise price by 43% starting in August. I don't know how I feel about this one. So as someone who is an avid UFC fighter or UFC watcher of fights, it kind of sucks. It's probably not going to affect me as much, to be honest with you. I don't really care because UFC fights are so worth it to me. But so it's going to go up from 60, 70. I think it's going to go up to $80, I think. I actually don't even know what we pay. Hold on, let me check that one. Plus, what is it? Oh, just give me. No, not the stock. $9.99. So it's about to. Okay, so it's about. So it's okay. So it's 120. So it's probably gonna go up to 160 a month. That sounds like, or a year, I mean. That sounds like a lot. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's gonna go from $7 a month to $10 a month. So $3 whole. So it would be 120 a year. Is it worth it? I think if I watched more sports, I really only care about fighting. So all the other sports kind of suck. But the reason I thought this was interesting was because my dad's dad is an avid Yankees watcher. He's watched every single Yankees game. I mean, since like his 20s. He's 80 something now. But he'll even listen to it on the radio, on like a little crappy radio. I'm like, Pops, what are you doing? But my dad was telling me that even for the Yankees games, they're going to start doing certain games on ESPN Plus. My grandfather's not going to be a huge fan of that. And my grandfather's the kind of guy that when he misses a Yankees game, apparently he's not a happy camper. Let's put it that way. So I don't think that one really bothers me that much. Again, I like fighting so much that I'd probably pay it still. I'm still going to pay it. Who am I kidding? And then maybe because of that, because I'm paying more, it's an incentive to watch other sports when I have the time. I probably won't have the time, but you know, I think for some people it's going to really turn them off. And 43% sounds like a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is definitely where you're going to see a separation of the wealthy versus the non-wealthy. Like the people who are wealthy aren't going to care and they'll just pay it. And then the people who are actual diehard fans who are not wealthy can't afford it. And I think ESPN's playing a dangerous game here. But we'll see. This is one that I can only speculate. I don't know enough about their business model to really talk about that and go into detail. I don't know how it works. I don't know who's getting what money. All I know is that I like not having to pay more for a pay-per-view. All of it comes through ESPN Plus. I believe. I have to check that, but a lot of people complain. So let me go back real fast. So as of, I think, last year, ESPN bought out the UFC. Like did some kind of deal so that all the pay-per-views are on ESPN Plus, which is great for us so that we don't have to pay $60 every freaking time, which means that the UFC gets a certain amount of money from ESPN anyway, so they don't really care about how well fights do anymore. Back last year, up until last year, was all pay-per-view stuff, so you'd have to pay the $60 every weekend or whenever there was a UFC fight. But it was worth it because every UFC, the one thing that I love about UFC, and one of my neighbors is actually trains a lot of UFC fighters. The great thing about UFC is that every single UFC feels like a Super Bowl, and I think that's why I love it so much. So the price is not going to stop me from paying for it anyway. Again, I'm obviously very fortunate that I can afford it, but I think a lot of I pay $80 right now, so yeah, it's $80. To go up to $120, wow, that is a big jump. I keep going, it's not that bad, and then I think about the jump, and you're like, I wonder why. I wonder if that's because the ESPN loses too. I wonder if it's because there's not that many people that actually pay for ESPN Plus. I will also say this: the UFC has a huge problem with pirating. Like people I know, I mean, they pirate they watch illegally any fight, and then when one website gets taken down, there's always another. So if you wanted to stop, the pirated streams, this was not the answer, to say the least. This is going to cause it to rise 100%. So I don't know what their incentive was to go up 40 or 43%. My guess is ESPN Plus doesn't do that well. I have to really sit down and look at ESPN Plus and see what's on there. Because, like, if you're putting on golf, there's no way that many people are signing up for a subscription to something just for golf. But then again, I'm doing that for the UFC. But I gain more. I think the UFC is actually the only sport that I gain more from being a member of ESPN Plus, because otherwise I was paying $60 for every pay-per-view up until then. So I think it's more beneficial for someone who's a fan of the UFC to just pay for ESPN Plus. My dad uses it for his stuff too. Like he'll watch football and stuff. So we have like a family plan. So yeah, that'll be interesting. That's another one that I think you're going to see pirating go up like crazy, and you're going to see a lot less buyers on your ESPN Plus, I believe. So, but here's another thing that you'll see on ESPN though. A lot of these sportscasters are going to be promoting the shit out of ESPN Plus. So here's one. Now, I'm not the biggest baseball fan. Truth be told, I think I told this on the podcast last week. My friend asked me to watch a Yankees game, and I told her it was 9 innings of my life I would never get back. It was brutal to watch. It was so boring. But a little baseball news that I thought was super interesting. So Juan Soto, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I apologize if I said it wrong. Rejects a $440 million offer, right? Which is a lot of money. And I said, why would you turn down $440 million at 23 years old? 23. And then I realized why. This is a 15-year contract. Ooh. Now, for my job, I guess you could say, yeah, it makes sense to do 15 years because this, like, YouTube, I mean, it's my dream job. I don't ever plan on stopping. But if you're a baseball player or any athlete, 15 years in any sport is a long run. I don't know what the average lifespan or like career span of a baseball player is, but I feel like 15 years is a long time. Hold on, let me look this up real fast. Hold on. Coffee break. I have so much crap to do after this. Like I have to record something with Jason. So I need my coffee. Average career length of a baseball player. Oh, no way. Really? Around 700%. Once there, the average career is 2.7 years of a 2.7 MLB. I mean, given I understand that there's some, wow, yeah, 2.7 years. So about 3 years. And they want this guy to do a 15-year contract. So first off, Kid's 23. That's 3 years younger than me, which is insane. But 23, so he would be 38 when he's off that team. I think it's the Nationals, Washington Nationals. Yeah. Now, again, he didn't accept this contract, but a lot can happen in 15 years. What happens if you sign the contract? And I'm just saying, if I was the owner of the baseball team, what if this guy took a ball to the noggin and went into a vegetative state? You're down $44 million. A lot can happen in 15 years, but as I said, in sports, 15-year contract is a long time, but it's $440 million. That's quite a bit of cheddar, as they say. Wow, that was cringe. Don't ever say cheddar again. I apologize. You guys had to hear that, honestly. But to be 23 and be offered $440 million, pretty good. He's got to be. I don't know anything about baseball, so I have to believe he's a really good hitter or something. But yeah, I mean, good for him, I guess, for realizing that he doesn't want to be on the same team for 15 years, even if the money's there. But yeah, I don't know. Hold on, actually, that's a great question. Father, is that you?
No.
Oh, hey, Michael, you probably know. Mike, what's the average length of a baseball player? Like, what's the career-wise?
I mean, like 21 to like 40.
21 to 40. Okay. Because I'm looking at, I don't know if you saw this, but Juan Soto.
Turned down 15 years, 450 million.
Right. Is 15 years sounds like a ridiculous amount of time, right?
All baseball players sign like ridiculously long contracts.
Okay. I didn't realize that.
That's how it is.
Okay. Good to know. So, my brother says it's not that long, or it is like 15 years is normal, so I'll go by him. I guess what the average was like the people that don't really play that much, like as we call them, the bench warmers. Me, I was always a starter. Come on. I started pretty much every sport I played. No big deal. I was a team captain of the Water Boys. No big deal. Anyway, that's pretty much all the news in that regard, like all the kind of news that I wanted to talk about that's like world news. Let's get into some gaming stuff. The exciting stuff that you guys are here for, a good portion of you are. BioShock 3D developer confirms newly released footage is real. BioShock 4 coming up. Super stoked for this. Now, here's the question. I don't know we have no clue what the story is going to be. Is it going to be a continuation of the last one? Are we going to have another era of BioShock? What's going to happen? Is this a whole new era? I don't know. I have questions, but I doubt we're going to hear about it for the next 4 years. It's probably very early footage. I didn't actually see the footage. I would love to. BioShock. Yeah, so they did like a mobile trailer for something. Wait a minute. Is this a... Please don't tell me I got duped and it's talking about... My whole day's ruined. My whole day is absolutely ruined. I read this article wrong, and let me tell you why. This is BioShock for mobile. They're redoing the game for phones. What the... My day. I mean, disastrous. There's nothing worse in the world than mobile gaming. Well, then again, hold on. Let me put it this way. Mobile gaming sucks, don't get me wrong. But, one of the most popular games in the world is PUBG. Did you guys know that? PUBG Mobile is like one of the highest grossing games. How many PUBG Mobile players do you think there are? I'll give you 5 seconds to take a guess. Nope, that's the wrong answer. Nope, you're wrong. Not that one either. Come on, get it together over there. PUBG Mobile. What? There's no way. There's no way. There's that many players. I have to check this one. I have to check. So it says that it has been downloaded on phones over 730 million times. Excuse me? That's insane. So how many active members are there? So this goes to June 20. Huh. Well, in June 2020, now I'm going to assume that this was really high because it was in the center of COVID. It had 730 million downloads. So it's probably, let's say it's probably about half that now. That's still a lot more than pretty much any other video game in the world, I believe. Maybe Minecraft is close, but yeah, mobile gaming is insane to me. I don't know how people can play on a screen that big. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, a little upset that BioShock's not coming out for a while. This one I thought was hilarious. Hilarious, dude. So, fucking accept your cookies, whatever. EA blamed Halo Infinite for Battlefield 2042's poor performance, but 6 months later, Halo Infinite blamed Battlefield 2042 for poor performance. Now, hey guys, let's get together. Let's band together at the table. Ready? We're all sitting there. I got the CEO of Halo and the CEO of Battlefield next to me, and I say, hey guys, maybe your games just suck. Ever thought about that? You didn't keep up with the times. What you tried to do is you tried to make free-to-play games and put in the least amount of effort, and it tanked. So, Battlefield wasn't even free-to-play. It wasn't. Oh, I'm sorry. No, Halo Infinite was free to play, and then you have your usual battle pass that they basically force you to pay for, otherwise you get nothing out of the game. And Battlefield was like, hey, we're gonna do the same thing, but we're also gonna make you pay $60 for it. I think it might be free now, and even then people won't play it. So yeah, hey, stop blaming each other. Hey, you two look at each other, shake hands, because you're both fucking idiots. There you go, CEOs. You're welcome. Don't blame each other for your shitty games. Hold on, I have to do my weekly. Let me do my weekly Halo Infinite player base checkup. Halo Infinite player base. Let's see. Where are we at? Steam charts. Last 30 days they've only had 4,000 players. Ooh. Ooh. That's god awful. Halo Infinite. Peak hour, all time. So today they had 4,000 players. That's awful. What do you think Battlefield's is at? Battlefield 2042. Let's see. Battlefield 2042 player base. Steam charts. Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. 6,000. So they're basically the same. They all suck. And that one's only gone up because they added that new map. I want you to know that as of May, so 2 months ago, they didn't even break 2,000 players for the month. Right? Let me just make sure. Yeah, that's the month. Yeah. 2,000 players for a month. And it's a Battlefield game. Did you ever think, hold on, just let's think of that sentence. Yeah, you just watched me scratch my balls. Anyway, let's think about that sentence real fast. Think about Battlefield. When you hear Battlefield, you think Call of Duty, you think AAA game. If you said to me 5 years ago, not even 4 years ago, how many players do you think play Battlefield today? I mean, every month they'd be pulling 50,000 probably, maybe 60,000. When did you ever think you would hear Battlefield say, or statistics say, hey, we only got 2,000 players this month? What? That's god awful. That is horrible, to say the least. Wow. Yeah, when you put it in that perspective, whew, that's really bad. So yeah, you have no one to blame but yourselves, for both of you. Hey, Halo Infinite CEO, Battlefield CEO, shame on you two. Fucking shame. Fucking stop trying to cut corners. But on that note, Sony has completed its $3.7 billion deal to acquire Bungie and welcome it into the PlayStation family. Now, Bungie makes Halo, and a bunch of other games, of course. This is kind of weird, in my opinion. So, this might be one of the strangest things in history to happen, in like gaming history. So we've reversed the roles. So Microsoft just bought out Blizzard, which was owned by no. Hold on, let me think about it. Well, I know Microsoft bought Blizzard. I don't know who owns Blizzard, but I know Sony works very closely with Blizzard, so that's weird. And then Sony's like, hey, we're gonna buy Bungie. So they literally just did like a crisscross. What does that mean? To be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, if I was Sony and I saw how poor Halo Infinite did, I would stay as far away from Bungie as possible. But Bungie has some other great games, so maybe that's why. Let me just look up real fast. Bungie games. Destiny. So they do Destiny. Wait, hold on. So then who does Halo Infinite? Is Bungie not Halo Infinite? Halo Infinite. Bungie. Oh, wow. That's 343 Industries, actually. So, but never mind. Bungie, you dodged a bullet, bro. Thank God you didn't do Halo Infinite. For the 343, what were you guys doing? I forgot how many great games that Bungie has, actually. Crimson. I mean, mostly Destiny and Halo, but they do have some one-offs in here that are pretty good. They do Myth. Oni. I don't even know what Oni is. What the hell's Oni? Oni is a game. Show me some gameplay. Oh, well, that looks like crap. I take back what I said. Bungie, hopefully you and Sony do better games. You know? I would love to see Bungie do stuff other than just Halo and Destiny. I'd love to see a whole new game, which I'm sure they'll make eventually. But right now, honestly, the gaming world right now is kind of dull, to be honest with you. That's why I've been doing a lot of speed runs of older games. Like we just did Devil May Cry the other day. And I won't lie to you. Although the camera angles suck, I've been having fun with it. I've probably played through it about 8 times now, trying to get most of the achievements and not doing the difficulty achievements. But yeah, I've been having fun. I've been having fun playing older games. Hopefully something big comes out soon, but based on what everyone's been seeing and what everyone's been talking about, besides God of War Ragnarok, there is nothing to look forward to. Everything else got pushed back, which is not great. Not great. All right, last but not least, Skate 4. Now, this was a YouTube video. It takes me right to a YouTube video. It was an IGN. Listen, I've been so excited for Skate, and then they released this bombshell on us. Now, it's not a bad bombshell. So, first off, Skate 4 is not going to be called Skate 4. It's going to be called Skate, period. Like Skate, and then, I don't know if it's Skate, period, or just Skate. It's a free-to-play game now, which always scares me. They said, it scares me because whenever I see free-to-play games, they try and be like Fortnite, where Fortnite, let's be honest, you can run on a goddamn toaster if you wanted to. Like a toaster with an interface, or your refrigerator, your smart fridge. And these companies try and do these free-to-play games that end up just having all these terrible, terrible bugs in it. We've waited 10 years for a new Skate game. 10 years. Please, EA, for the love of God, do not fuck this for me. I swear to God, if you fuck Skate, I will find you. It has been too long. Too long. Okay? So, they said there's no microtransactions. There's no pay to win. Cool. I appreciate that. But again, EA, you don't have the best track record when it comes to microtransactions. No offense, but it's just a fact. You're kind of like that ex, you know, that ex that she was like, "Oh, please take me back," but no one trusts you, you know. After the whole Battlefield debacle, not Battlefield, Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront debacle. It's tough. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for Skate period. But the more I see on it, the more I go, Because also free to play means that they're not going to do as many servers, which means you're going to have like a bajillion kids on one server. And if there's collision damage, like if you bump into someone, which for those of you that have played Skate, you know that collision's a real thing. It's not going to be fun. So you better be careful, EA. You're on thin ice, especially with me. So, but please just do your best. That's all I care about. That's pretty much it for news. What do we got in the Discord? What did anyone post in the Discord? Let's see. Stream announcements, podcast questions. Okay. That one we could do last because that's like a pretty deep question. But with games that are rising, so Zia always coming in clutch with the big questions. With games that are rising up, such as Tarkov and Ready or Not, which are known for their realism, do you think that other companies such as COD and Battlefield and others will head in the same direction in the future? No. And here's why. I think when you say realism, you mean the combat systems, the actual systems that make the game realistic. I think Call of Duty and hopefully Battlefield, especially after 2042, I think that they know what their player base is. They know their demographic. They do know or have a really rough idea of what their games are. Like, you're never going to see Call of Duty be so realistic to the point that it's a military sim. Same with Battlefield. Because they know that if someone wanted that, they'd be playing Arma. You wouldn't be playing Call of Duty. There's a reason that Call of Duty and Battlefield are AAA games, minus 2042. I think you'll see more realistic graphics, if that's more so what you mean, and realistic maps, maybe some more realistic bullet dynamics or ballistics, but you probably will not see much of a variation in Call of Duties. Maybe in the story and campaigns, but from a multiplayer perspective, probably not. In fact, they went the opposite way. Call of Duty went from jetpacks to being normal to jetpacks to back to normal. So they know that if there's too many variations or too much realism or too little realism, people turn away. So that's why the last four? The last 4 Call of Duties have been pretty flat. They've been pretty much the same. Couple variations, but the realism, if anything, the most realistic. Excuse me, dear God. Again, that chicken salad's coming back up. The most realistic Call of Duty was World War II. That was a pretty realistic game in the sense of one-shot shotguns from a mile away. That's about as realistic as it gets, in my opinion. So, yeah, you probably will not see more realism come to a game like Call of Duty or Battlefield. To other games, maybe that's the other problem, though. There's not too many AAA shooters out there. So the only other real AAA games that I can think of, I would argue that From Software is now a AAA company since Elden Ring did so well. I'm sure they made so much money you can consider them a AAA company. So what, do you want Elden Ring to be more realistic? That's what I mean. There's not enough competition in the AAA industry to really be more realistic. Maybe you'll see Assassin's Creed. I mean, that Ubisoft's a AAA game. Rainbow Six is pretty realistic in my opinion. But also that's a great example of a game that decided to take some of the realism out, and now their player base has fallen drastically. So, you had these unrealistic heroes or champions that just don't feel real. They just aren't real. So, yeah, I think companies of that stature, being a AAA company, they know their lane and they stay in their lane. I think that's probably the best way of putting it. So, let me chug this. Yeah, that was the grits of the coffee. Okay. Last question, and this is a pretty deep one. So this is by Deductions, which I believe is Henry. What are your thoughts on the monetization of passing of famous individuals in general, most notably on YouTube in light of the Technoblade incident? So I can put this away because that's the last thing. I don't really have to look this one up because I'm pretty well versed in it. So for those of you that don't know, Technoblade, again, I know a lot of people on YouTube don't even like to hear other people talk about Technoblade because, we'll get into it in a second, but unfortunately he was a Minecraft YouTuber who passed away of cancer at the age of 23. I don't know what kind of cancer. I actually don't know the guy very well. Like I'm not aware of him. I'm not a Minecraft person, but I watched the whole thing. It was a horrible, horrible travesty to YouTube. But what ended up happening, and what Henry's referring to, is that a lot of people decided that they would capitalize on this kid's death. They would make these clickbaity videos of my last moments with Technoblade and stuff like that, which really, I mean, it's disgusting. There's no other way of putting it. It's just a terrible, terrible plague on YouTube. And this has happened more than once. I remember when a famous YouTuber named Etika passed away. Same thing happened. But this one was pretty drastic because of how big the Minecraft community is. Like Technoblade, I believe, and this is just me, I could be making this up, but I mean, I think he had 10.5 million subscribers, which I think puts him at probably one of the most subscribed to Minecraft YouTubers. Again, I don't know Minecraft YouTubers that well, but I can't speak for knowing him. Like, I don't know much about him, but he impacted a lot of lives, no question about it. So when people, like, there's this channel called It's Owen or whatever, who he got his channel deleted because he was trying to capitalize on Technoblade's death, which is, again, awful. Thank God. One thing that YouTube does right is ban people like that. So I hope that Owen kid's never back on YouTube. But there's a lot of other channels, smaller channels, that have done the same thing or something similar. Like I saw one where this guy donated. He said he was going to donate all the money using Technoblade's name. Like, he's like, oh, this is for the Foundation for Cancer. And then the kid just pocketed the money, and then they caught him lying. Now, I don't think his channel got deleted, but, I mean, he's getting some shit. And there's a couple other channels that are fairly big, like a couple million, couple 100,000 subscribers that are doing the same thing. But to answer your question, it's terrible. It's disgusting. But then I think of... if you guys remember a couple years ago, it's probably like 4 years ago now, a famous rapper named Juice WRLD died. He ended up overdosing on Percocets that they found on his plane or whatever. His he downed 30 Percocets or whatever, and he ended up dying. But to this day, sometimes you'll see a new released song from Juice WRLD. So I guess a lot of music companies have what's called the Vault. It's pretty well known, but the Vault is basically where all the unreleased music of artists goes into. Certain companies have it, some don't. But I know like Michael Jackson and Prince still have music in the Vault that was never released, and they were talking to the foundations, like the family foundations, hey, can we release this music? And I don't think they ever did. So Juice WRLD, he's a great example. He's someone that I guess the family said, hey, you can still keep putting out his music because that's what he would have wanted. I don't know. I mean, there's a contract there because they're musicians. Obviously, with someone like Technoblade, there's no, as far as I know, there's no contract that you can make with YouTube that says, hey, I want any future videos or videos in a vault, if he had them, to go out. Like, I think that's a family discussion. So for people to capitalize on someone else's name, we have something called fair use. So let me quickly explain what fair use is. Fair use is there's certain amounts of things that you could take from videos, from other people's videos, that's allowed. It's a very fine line of what's allowed and what's not allowed. And by fine line, I mean it's a blurred line, I should say. It's a very blurred line of what's allowed and what's not allowed. I remember when a fair use case happened years ago with I think the one that actually started it was the H3H3 podcast, or their actual channel. I don't think it was a podcast, but H3H3 was it still is a huge YouTube channel. Ethan and Ela Klein, they are the reason that we actually have fair use. Someone tried to sue them for defamation, and because it fell under fair use guidelines, I believe Ethan and Ela won. They had to have, otherwise they probably wouldn't be doing YouTube anymore. But yeah, so I don't know how much of Technoblade stuff falls under fair use. Obviously, what that Owen kid was doing is completely clickbait and illegal. And again, praise to YouTube for banning a guy like that. That's a guy that should never have a platform. And they banned him for life. He can't ever make another channel. So thank God. Other than that, Yeah, I just think without anyone's permission, you shouldn't be uploading stuff like that. Like you shouldn't be using someone else's name. Like even I feel a little weird talking about it because I don't know. First off, it was 3 weeks ago now, and I don't know much about him, so I'm just answering a question. But yeah, I would stay away from it. If I was one of my friends, like let's say if one of my close friends, like Matt, Alan, and those guys passed away, and they said I'd obviously ask their parents, "Hey, could I talk about this or whatever?" But with someone that I don't know, fair use can only protect you so much. So yeah, I'd stay away from it. There's no point. It's just a quick way to make views, and that's not what I'm here for. I know a lot of YouTubers, I'm sure, aren't here for that either. So, yeah, that's my opinion. Just don't do it under really any circumstance unless you have permission from the family or someone close to them that can make that decision. So that's my thoughts on it. Again, it's horrible that we lost a YouTuber so young at 23 to a rare form of cancer, but the beauty about YouTube and one of the things that I think about all the time is that his legacy is always going to live on. His channel's never going to be deleted as long as YouTube's still a thing, and I bet you YouTube's going to last a couple 100 years probably, at least. That's how big it is. As long as Google's still going, but we'll see. That might be a stretch, but yeah, the beauty about YouTube is that it's going to be on there forever. And I'm sure on other websites too. People have probably saved videos of his. They'll go somewhere, so... yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So, podcast number 4 done, in the books. Jason and I have a bunch to record later. We got to do some zombie maps, and then I have to do some escape room stuff. So, yeah, successful podcast. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully, all my explanations were still great. Discord server down below for future questions and topics. What else? Videos, live streams. You guys know the drill. So, we'll end it there. Good job.